Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Jason's investigation into Britt produces startling findings, and Willow loses it with Michael once more. On General Hospital today, Michael silences Willow, Drew proposes a truce, and Jason discovers inconsistencies in Britt's death. Emma is looking for her charger as Anna is on the phone at home. While the dog runs around with her leash in her mouth, Gio, who hasn't noticed, is offering her guidance. Anna, who is frustrated, orders everyone to halt since they are in a predicament. Outback needs to be walked, according to Anna, and since dogs are not permitted in this building, take her for a stroll to avoid upsetting them and having them evicted. According to Anna, they should make a plan for the dog that includes who feeds and walks her. Emma explains she's working for Dalton tonight, but she still advises a house meeting. When Joss is dismissed, she says that she is volunteering in the hopes of getting the position. Dante tells Anna about his finding. Dante arrives at Anna and Emma's house uncomfortably, and they and Gio welcome him. Dante inquires for his son's well-being. Fantastic. I truly enjoy being here. Gio and Emma depart for their jobs, and Dante questions Anna about how terrible and uncomfortable it was. It was a little awkward, but not too horrible. She claims that Gio had to go to work. There is now no tempo, despite Dante's attempts to let Gio go at his own speed. He's also preoccupied with the whole Rocco Britt/birth story about Lulu's embryo being stolen. Rocco's perspective on his parents has changed. That's a lot, wow. But according to Anna, he's a good father. Dante continues and plays the video of the woman Jocelyn put the tracker on. She went to the Metro Court, where Professor Dalton is, according to Anna. Anna discusses Emma's dismissal from her previous university, the dubious NDA she signed, Dalton's move from that university, and Emma's conviction that Dalton is conducting animal research. Dante reflects, so they, Jocelyn, and the WSB are all connected, before leaving with a pledge to get Anna what she needs. Carly worries about Vaughn. Joss and Vaughn act like a couple at the pool as she tells him about the tracker's journey to Croatia, where it vanished and then miraculously reappeared 3 hours later. They talk about if it was discovered and turned off to entice the person who was pursuing them. Upon entering, Carly notices her daughter with Vaughn. She requests a private meeting with Joss in her office. After pretending to kiss Vaughn, Joss responds to Carly's interrogation. Does Joss know him well? He is too old for her, Jocelyn. He should spend time with whoever is putting her against Emma. Joss says, oh, it's okay. There is no strange love triangle between them. Emma sought to make Joss jealous of Vaughn because she was furious that Jocelyn was hired by Dalton. She's just having fun and doesn't want anything serious, so it's not a huge problem. All right, Carly says, do that. Just let her know if things between them become serious. She is constantly available to speak with her daughter. Want to interfere in Trina's life? Stella stops by Aurora to discuss the reasons for Trina and Kai's breakup. Trina can choose whether or not to tell her, according to Curtis, who is staying out of this. Although Stella is making an effort to respect their privacy, this is a grave error because they were meant to be together. He does agree, of course, but they simply reached a point where they couldn't agree anymore. Stella says that's not good enough. It's time to mend family relationships. Or not. Will Willow persuade Michael? Willow informs Michael that she came to the Quartermain estate to apologize for her foolishness over Drew, not to make demands. She paid no attention to what he had to say. Michael claims that Drew told her about Germany and used more manipulation techniques than she is aware of. He would have cherished the opportunity to see her and learn about the children. At that point, Willow understands that Drew must have destroyed everything by getting to the receptionist. Willow wants Michael to make amends now after he acknowledges that most of this could have been avoided if they had simply met at that time. Just us. No, he replies. It's too late. Willow begins to lose her temper and tells him that they can still resolve their differences outside of court. No. He does not want her to be seen by the children. What? Willow breaks down even more, which strengthens Michael's argument that she isn't suitable for his children at this time. Michael is aware that Willow's is going through a lot, but she isn't thinking like a mom. She needs to get better before she can become a parent. Michael, I shall never forget this, she bursts into tears. Jason asks Liz for help at Liz's. Drew informs her that getting Willow back together with her kids is his top concern. Liz says, cool, and then walks away. Before they can get too far, Jason appears, and Drew insists that Jason follows him to keep him away from Willow. After Jason explains that he has come to visit Liz, she orders Drew to go. After he leaves, Liz informs Jason that Willow simply left, but he was unaware that she was staying there. To find out where the morgue bodies were transported, he only needs her assistance looking through the hospital records. It's a big ask. Yeah, but it's personal, not business, he responds. Okay, what's the timeline? He says 2022 to 2024. Liz opens her laptop, starts working, and then declares she has laundry to do. Jason grabs it and looks up Britt's name. Lawrence Mortuary received her. Jason thanks Liz and heads out when she returns with her laundry. When Emma and Gio arrive for work, Outback immediately rushes to Vaughn, who is relaxing by the pool. Before anyone can move, Vaughn takes Emma over, despite Emma's attempts to get Gio to get the dog. Vaughn apologizes for what transpired once Gio begins working, and Emma reassures him that he and Jocelyn are a good fit. At the pool, Drew yells at Martin, I know Curtis told Willow about me and Nina. He then witnesses Stella and the criminal sitting by the pool. Indeed, he is certain that it was Curtis. Curtis then notices Drew and Stella merrily chatting about the rumors circulating about Drew and Willow's impending nuptials. Drew approaches and requests to speak with his old pal for a moment. Drew informs Curtis that he has more enemies than he needs once she bows out. Or desires. Enough of their back-and-forth injuries. Really? If Drew turns over his wife's blackmail materials, Curtis might pursue it. All right. Truce. In the latter moments of the show, Drew rejoins the lawyer when Curtis catches Stella mid-conversation with Martin regarding the hospital. Stella asks her nephew bluntly what that man intended after Martin informs Drew that she is a living, breathing angel. There is a truce between them. Martin claims that he was anticipating pyrotechnics between Drew and Curtis at the other table, but it appeared to be friendly. Is Drew changing? No. He's playing the long game, he didn't declare a truce. Michael hurries to Carly and informs him that Willow has returned, but he rejected her. She is not well enough to visit the children. Carly concurs, although Michael acknowledges that he briefly saw the former Willow before she resumed her outburst. Will her relationship with the children ever be healthy again? When Willow arrives at Liz's house, she tells her about her meeting with Michael and how everything fell apart. She must demonstrate to the world her stability and maternal skills. Jocelyn arrives at the pool, chats briefly with Gio and Emma, and then approaches Vaughn to kiss him. Emma looks at them, but she tells Gio it's not awkward. She simply took his master key to the campus. Meanwhile, Vaughn is warned by Jocelyn that Anna is pursuing him. Carly is capable of managing her mother, but not Anna. In any case, Brennan removed them from the inquiry. Steve meets with a mortuary woman who reviews Britt's records. Wait while her mother picks up Britt's ashes and arranges everything. The cremation's date and hour were overlooked. But, hey, errors do happen. Jason confides with Anna on the upcoming General Hospital while Alexis looks for clarification. General Hospital spoilers for Friday, August 1st, Sunny's behavior quiz, Jason's Brit revelation, and WSB's new target. According to General Hospital teasers on Friday, August 1st, Jason Morgan has a Brit Westbourne revelation for Anna Devane, and the WSB will have a new target. Let's talk about what will happen on the ABC soap opera, as Sunny Corinthos will also be launching a quiz on someone's behavior. Lucas Jones will confide in Felicia Scorpio at GH and state that he cannot continue to ignore the situation. Lucas is likely to gripe about Sunny and the fact that Marco Rios chose not to report him for the kidnapping. Felicia will provide some direction because Lucas won't enjoy that Sunny gets away with everything. Marco obviously doesn't intend to overlook this after all, as he has linked up with Jen Sidwell to defeat Sunny. Emma Scorpio Drake will then discuss with Giovanni Gio Palmieri the possibility of bringing in some backup for her lab break-in strategy. It will be intriguing to watch what happens since Outback the dog will also become involved in some drama. When Christina Corinthos Davis sees someone who appears distressed, she will inquire as to what transpired, giving the impression that she is worried. On Friday's broadcast, Christina won't be the only member of the Davis family looking for answers. Fans of GH will also witness Alexis Davis search for additional information, possibly confronting Drew Kane about the chaos at the wedding that occurred in front of Scout Kane. Now that Vaughn and Jocelyn Jacks have been removed from the Professor Henry Hank Dalton probe, they will meet with Jack Brennan. However, given Brennan's insistence that Dalton is no longer the main objective, this might simply be a case of the mission changing. Could the WSB think that Britt is still alive now that Jason has begun investigating? Will Britt be the next main target, or would it be another individual involved in the same study? In any event, Jason will confide in Anna about his sighting at the Britt airport and encourage her to reassure him that it's not a hallucination. Jason's concerns are intensifying when he investigated Britt's cremation and discovered that there was no formal documentation of it being carried out. After Anna receives updates on all of Jason's most recent Britt-related news, she might start to suspect that he is correct. Someone will knock on Britt's door at the resort and make it plain that she isn't leaving. A man named Pascal might be there on Britt's unknown boss's orders because he is scheduled to have scenes with her soon. Sonny will appear perplexed when he inquires about someone's actions back in Port Charles. Now that Willow Tate's relationship with Drew Kane has ended, maybe Sonny will learn about her most recent tantrums. Lastly, Dante will ask Danny Morgan some questions. If Dante wants to know what his son is thinking and feeling at the moment, Rocco Falconeri may be involved. According to General Hospital spoilers, Danny will be grilled by Dante, so watch to see if he can help. General Hospital spoilers, is Cynthia Watt-Rose leaving? Nina reaches her lowest point? According to General Hospital spoilers, viewers are still in shock by the revelation of Nina Reeves and Drew Kane's covert affair. When Willow Tate learned just before her wedding, she broke up with Drew before they exchanged vows, even though she did go down the aisle. Willow and Nina's mother-daughter relationship has been completely destroyed by this secret. Having said that, Willow has previously let Nina into her life before her mother betrayed her confidence. Given that Nina has reached a low point, is it possible that she may soon leave the canvas? It appears that Nina Reeves has been penned into a corner, according to General Hospital spoilers. Although she isn't a villain and occasionally verges on being a hero, it seems like Nina and Cynthia might be leaving GH as there isn't a romantic interest or any other compelling plot except from Willow and her children, Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. Online rumors have been circulating that Cynthia might be departing the ABC soap opera, but as of this writing, neither the actress nor the program have acknowledged or rejected any plans to leave. Do Willow and Nina stand a chance? This time, as they got closer, Nina and Willow made amazing progress. Willow even began referring to Nina as Mom, something Nina had long wished for. But will these ladies ever be able to return to their former status? Is there a circumstance that might bring them closer? Time heals all wounds, as the saying goes. Is Nina going to run out of storylines now that she's reached her lowest point in Port Charles, with only Maxie Jones and Liesl Albrecht remaining as family, and Ava Jerome as her sole friend? However, in Willow's eyes, is it possible that she will return to their mother-daughter bond and follow the path to redemption? Time will tell. Do you believe Nina is leaving? Leave a comment below. When Jason Morgan lost Sam and became Danny's only parent, his life in Port Charles had already taken a drastic shift. However, Jason was unaware that the past he believed to be forgotten had started to resurface as he attempted to re-establish a more tranquil life with his kid, one that involved weekend breakfasts and school pickups. And everything he believed to be true fell apart the instant he saw her, that distinctive profile from the other side of the airport. Sasha and Daisy had just been escorted to safety by Jason. Because of their shaky trust in one another, the assignment had been emotionally taxing and complex. More than just protecting them from harm, pretending to be Daisy's father had roused something inside of Sasha. If only to assist her in overcoming dangers from her past. He had not accepted a part of Jason in years. The nurturer, the guardian. And he was about to board his own aircraft when he noticed a flicker of movement out of the corner of his eye. A woman with her trademark long blonde waves and tall, rapid stride was hurrying past security and toward a gate. His gut became stone cold. She was the face. Britt. He didn't yell. He didn't go after her. Not quite yet. He wanted time to consider what this might entail, and he needed to be certain. Because everything was different if Britt Westbourne was still alive. For the next hour, Jason was in a daze of incredulity, his thoughts racing over memories he had hidden away. Their time spent together. Their shared vulnerability. They had parted ways that night, not realizing it would be their last. She had said him farewell without disclosing what she was carrying, assuming she had even realized yet. Was Britt pregnant when she disappeared? When Jason confided in Carly later that day in Port Charles, she was astounded by what he had witnessed. She initially tried to dismiss it as a lookalike or a nasty mental trick, but as Jason went on to explain the incident, Carly's worries began to change. The quiet intensity that took over when someone he loved was in peril was something she had previously witnessed in Jason. He might not be safe to dig, Carly cautioned, because if Britt was still alive and hiding, there was a reason. Jason, however, was unable to let it go. After a few days, Jason began making inconspicuous inquiries. Spinelli used backdoor systems and airplane footage, although there were purposeful flaws. Any digital evidence of that woman's departure has been prevented or removed by someone. She didn't want to be discovered, whomever she was. Jason became even more certain as a result. On the outskirts of Port Charles, Britt's name sparked rumors. A retired nurse claimed to have seen her a few months ago in a Swiss facility. According to a dishonest arms dealer, a woman named Belle Walker paid him to have a child's medical records in Prague vanish. Even if the facts weren't exactly in line, they were enough to suggest that Britt was still alive and not by herself. Jason's intuition informed him of what his mind had not yet processed. That child would be almost toddler age now if Britt had been pregnant. Furthermore, she hadn't gone underground carelessly if she had. Was she keeping the child safe? Keeping something from someone? Or evading him? Sonny, who was still lurking in the shadows, had his own opinion. Sonny offered a warning that was more laden than advised when Jason eventually brought it up to him. He remarked, "You have no idea what you're chasing. Ghosts are just that, ghosts, sometimes. However, someone else is aware of her existence." With the Jen Sidwell scenario getting worse, Jason didn't want to bring up Sonny's mob drama. And someone else could want to keep her buried. Drawing heat on someone he could be attempting to save was the last thing he needed. However, time was of the essence, and Jason was not the type of man who shied away from blood, whether it be his own or that of others. The Sasha Daisy plot, which had previously appeared like a quick cover-up, now seemed strangely foreboding. Something deeper and more genuine was echoed by the ease with which Jason had assumed the role of father and the subtle satisfaction he had taken in Daisy's laughing. Sasha and Daisy might have been a test run for the real thing. A child who was biologically his. Even Michael, who was more astute and cunning than ever, saw that Jason's attitude had changed. "Over a drink," he said, "you're distracted." "What's happening?" After hesitating, Jason spoke candidly, something he didn't often do. "I believe Britt is still alive. And I think I might have a child." Michael's eyes narrowed, but his face remained the same. "So why in the world are you still here?" Jason was unable to respond. Not quite yet. There were still too many pieces missing. Spinelli's quest took a different turn. He discovered an isolated cottage in Italy that was rented to a woman using a false identity. Surveillance tape showed a toddler with wavy dark hair and a blue pacifier playing in the backyard. The neighbors vowed that the woman stayed to herself and only left at night, even though she was never captured on camera. Jason prepared a bag. At home, Carly stood by herself on the footbridge with a picture of herself and Jason from years ago. She was unsure about the implications of this new reality. Everything would be different if Jason had a child with Britt while she was still living. If Jason had a genuine second chance at family, things may be different. Jason had always been the one who kept everyone else together, including Sam, Carly, and Sonny. He may not return this time. Halfway around the world, a woman hugged a plush animal to her chest with a shaky hand and suspicious eyes. A kid in the adjacent room chuckled. An automobile drew up outside. "He's found us," she said gently, and Britt Westbourne closed her eyes for the first time in years, braced for whatever lay next. whether she would flee or reveal the truth to Jason Morgan at last. Kai's GH journey, will he have to leave Port Charles because of his decisions? Kai might be out of time. Kai's adventure at General Hospital started out so promisingly. He was Trina's latest romantic interest and a famous football player. What might go wrong? As it happens, quite a bit. Downhill fast. Trina appeared to be finally letting go of Spencer. She initially detested PCU football star Kai, but they eventually fell in love. It was a classic love story. He taught her football, and she taught him about art. When Kai was hurt and told he would never be able to play his favorite sport again, things changed. He was moving on after his girlfriend assisted him in accepting it. Here comes the evil Drew, who, for some reason, covered the cost of his state-of-the-art operation. He had the operation against the advice of Trina and her family, but it didn't resolve the issue in the end. When he persisted in standing by Drew, even going over Trina's back to inform his new friend about Curtis and Portia's activities, everything went south. Trina ended the relationship since that was the final straw for her. Kai appeared to be the only attendee who did not find Drew repulsive as she sat through the non-wedding. He even offered to drive the man home. This will be the last straw for Trina, along with the fact that he works for the congressman. There is absolutely no chance that they will reunite. What does the former football star have left to do? He had no contacts in Port Charles, and he sided with the most despised individual in the community. This may be the end of Kai because most locals would be more than delighted for them to move to Washington, D.C., and ride off into the sunset together. His character could always go in a different direction, but that doesn't seem likely. Perhaps it's time to bid Kai farewell and hope for Spencer to make a comeback. Do you believe Kai should be let go? Willow had 1,000 different visions of the wedding day, but none of them resembled this. Perfume, nervousness, and unspoken truths filled the chapel's air. Behind a screen of white flowers, she stood with her veil half-pinned, the bustle loosened, her fingers shaking over the satin buttons of her dress. An hour ago, she was positive that she was making the correct decision because, after a life filled with sorrow and betrayal, marrying Drew Kane felt like a guarantee of tranquility. However, that tranquility was already erupting. Everything fell apart the instant Curtis drew her away and dropped the truth like a bomb. When he caressed her arm and requested a private conversation, she was actually smiling and laughing for the first time in weeks. She initially viewed it as a boon. Like the brother she never had, Curtis had always been kind to her. However, his words sent a shiver down her back. "You need to hear something before you go down that aisle, Willow," he said. Nina and Drew were together. Close to home. Last summer. It wasn't an isolated error. It occurred both before and after the 4th of July. She shook her head, her face fixed and her jaw clenched. "No," she said, as though stating it softly might render it false. "No, it isn't feasible." Drew would never. Curtis, however, did not recoil. He didn't have to elaborate. The assurance in his words and the remorse in his eyes spoke for him. Willow had to be certain, though. She hurried to the bridal suite, where 2 stylists were getting Nina all dolled up. In response to her daughter's pre-wedding anxiety, Nina initially grinned, her eyes gentle and her lips poised to coo. However, the atmosphere changed as soon as Willow bolted the door. "Is it accurate?" Willow's voice trembled with silent anger as she demanded. "Drew and you, did you share a bed?" Nina's throat caught as her face plummeted. First came the hush. Then the slow, regretful, but damning words came. "Indeed. I didn't intend for that to occur. It wasn't prearranged. It simply meant that we were both lonely. And in pain. And you were with him when I was falling in love," Willow interrupted, her eyes flaming. "While you feigned solidarity with me." "It was an error," Nina mumbled. "A bad one. And since we didn't want to ruin the happiness you had finally discovered, we hid it from you." "Happiness founded on lies," Willow swore. "You failed to keep me safe." Nina extended her hand, but Willow retreated, her heart thumping in her ears. "You embarrassed me." The tension, the whispers, and the way Drew would interrupt discussions about the previous summer all made sense now. The worst of all was the uneasy feeling she had had for weeks. She had dismissed it as delusion or wedding stress. No, it was her own instincts that were tearing at her. Without saying another word, Willow turned and raced out while Nina remained there, trembling with remorse. Through the church's halls, the sound of her heels hitting the spotless floor reverberated like gunfire. Guests were starting to settle in downstairs. Standing close to the altar, wearing charcoal gray, Drew's smile wavered as he glanced at his watch. With eyes darting toward the doors as if he could will Willow to come, Drew simply nodded rigidly as Michael leaned in to whisper something. There was an immediate stillness when she did. All heads turned. Willow had lost her veil. Her bouquet was gone. Her face was unreadable. The flash of metal she was holding in her right hand, however, was what everyone was looking at. It wasn't any jewelry. It was neither blue nor borrowed. It was a firearm. A silence descended so densely that it choked the room's oxygen. Drew's face changed from bewilderment to incredulity. He took a step forward and said, "Willow. What are you? You told me lies," she remarked too coolly. "You lied all this time." The visitors gasped in surprise. Carly got to her feet in the pew, gaping. Michael instinctively shielded the infant Daisy with one arm as he reached for her. Nina, who arrived a few seconds late, shrieked when she saw her daughter standing at the end of the aisle with a loaded firearm, resembling a statue in satin. With his hands up and his voice slow, Drew urged, "Willow, put it down. Let's have a conversation. Please." Willow remarked, "You gave me hope that something genuine exists. You gave me the impression that I was secure. You gave me the impression that you were unique. Despite telling me you loved me, you were cheating on my mother. It was before you and I were serious," Drew begged. "We had no idea where it was heading, and after," she interrupted. "Curtis said that it was after." "Did it happen after?" He paused. "She only needed that delay, which was only a half-second too long." Willow's hands gripped the object more tightly. "I sacrificed everything for you," she murmured, her eyes sparkling. "My peace, my reputation, and my custody battle. For you, I broke boundaries, created enemies, and hunted people. You need help," he whispered softly. "This is not something you want to do." "No," she answered, moving forward with tears streaming down her cheeks. "Justice is what I desire." Nina was crying now. "What I want is for someone to feel what I've felt all this time. This isn't the way, Willow, please." Sunny sprang forward from the side aisle, yelling, "Get the pistol." However, a gun rang out through the room before anybody could reach her, before Carly, Michael, Sunny, or Curtis could stop her. There was anarchy. The guests let out a yell. The infant let forth a cry. Nina fell to the ground. From the rear of the room, Jason hurried toward the altar, toppling chairs as he went. With blood blossoming through his white shirt, Drew stumbled backward and gripped his side. He sank to one knee, eyes wide with pain and amazement, but he did not collapse. Willow remained still. Her face locked in a mixture of rage and destruction, the gun clattering to the floor next to her. The deed seemed to have sapped her vitality. As the others hurried in, she swayed once before remaining motionless and unblinking. People called paramedics. The cops as well. Even though Drew was barely alive, Willow didn't seem to notice. She refrained from crying. She didn't yell. With blood flowing behind him like a ribbon of broken promises, she watched as the man she loved was taken away on a stretcher. And with her hands behind her back and her head lowered, she said a single, extremely quiet word that only Carly, who was standing closest, could hear as they cuffed her. "I should have aimed for the heart." What was meant to be a day of union and vows had turned into the most sinister form of reckoning. Additionally, this wedding would have long-lasting effects on Port Charles. Acting, mission modified, need for reassurance. Jason Morgan wants some assurance, Jocelyn Jacks and Vaughn's goal has changed, and Lucas Jones must act. Taking action at the hospital, Lucas confides in Felicia Jones, who offers him some advice when he says he can't continue to ignore the situation. Given that Sonny Corinthos abducted Marco Rios, he probably still has a lot of grievances against him. Sonny's influence over Lucas' friends and family has caused Lucas a great deal of distress. He is unable to persuade Carly Spencer, his own sister, to stop defending the mafia. Can Felicia help him come up with a strategy? Calling in backup Emma, Scorpio Drake and Gio Palmieri devise a strategy at the Metro Court pool, where Emma was able to obtain Vaughn's master facility key. Outback, the dog leaped on Vaughn while he was relaxing on a chaise by the pool. Emma intends to break into Professor Henry Dalton's lab using the key. However, when Outback growls, she informs Gio that she is phoning in some backup just in case. The key question is whether Gio or Outback will be the backup. In another article, Christina Corinthos Davis inquires about what transpired since her mother, Alexis Davis, is in need of clarification. Poor young Emily Scout Kane has had a very rough few days and is bewildered. She is not going home with Drew Kane, therefore it appears that she will remain with Christina and Alexis. Since Willow Tate broke the huge surprise, Christina has already been informed about the wedding that didn't happen and the reasons why. Keeping Rick Lansing and Ava Jerome at bay is already a lot on Alexis and Christina's plates. Perhaps what happened should be what happened now. The mission was altered while Jocelyn and Vaughn were summoned to the WSB field office and were speaking with Jack Brennan. Their goal has shifted. Dalton is no longer the main target, and they are no longer attempting to enter his lab. Clearly, this has happened since the tracker Jocelyn placed on Dalton's courier Greta's bag vanished and then resurfaced on the tracking. Although they briefly lost sight of her, they are aware that the courier was headed for Dubrovnik, Croatia. Brennan now wants to focus on the person who Greta probably contacted in Dubrovnik. What conduct? Sonny is confronted about his actions elsewhere, and he inquires as to what actions they are referring to. If Justine Turner, the acting district attorney, is breathing down his neck once more, what is it about? It's likely that Lucas' talk with Felicia is the reason why whoever is addressing him about his actions is doing so now. Sonny was only using his position of authority to pressure Jen Sidwell into taking off his peers. After all, despite his attempts to implicate Selena Wu's allies, Sidwell put his daughter Christina in risk. Reassurance needed, Jason informs Anna Devane that he saw something and that he needs their confirmation that it's not his imagination. He has knowledge that Britt Westbourne's cremation order was never approved, and he is aware that he saw her alive in the Paris airport. After speaking with Liesl Albrecht, he is certain that her mother is unaware of Britt's existence. Jason is aware that he was assumed dead by the time Britt died, so he knows he needs to find her and learn what occurred. Other than the fact that he had injured her when he married Carly for 5 minutes after Sonny returned from Nixon Falls, that explains why she didn't try to get in touch with him. Meanwhile, Britt is confronted by an enigmatic man at the entrance of her suite at the Five Poppies Dalmatia Resort in Dubrovnik. Given that Jocelyn and Vaughn's purpose has altered and that he tells Britt she's not leaving, the man might be a WSB agent. He sounds like someone she's met in the past, and who held her mother captive, and has a strange accent. Does Britt need to be wary of this man? Is he prepared to kidnap or imprison her? Will she need to be rescued soon? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.